Books and balloons? What do they have in common? We'll find out on this week's episode of I Have Today. Hey there, it's Diane Forster, and welcome to this week's episode of I Have Today, the show that inspires, educates, and empowers you through life's transitions. And each week on this show, we talk about amazing topics relative to your life so that you can live a life fully, passionately, with intention and purpose. And this week on this show, I am excited to have a very special friend and guest, Sandi Masori. Hey, Sandi, how are you?
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I am so excited to be here too. You know, I met Sandi several months ago. We were part of a group mastermind program, and I just fell in love with her and couldn't wait to have you on the show because you are so representative of what I Have Today is and how we really help and serve and empower women through life's transitions and to really overcome whatever it is they've needed to overcome in their past, whether it's been, past childhood trauma or relationships or divorce or health challenges or anything like that. And that the power is really within us to do it. And you are a shining example of that.
Thank you. I just love that mission. I mean, and I think, we all want to think that we're just immune to everything, but let's be realistic. We're human, right? I mean, life happens.
Life does happen. It does. And you're really vulnerable about that. I'm really vulnerable about that. And people really appreciate that because they see themselves in us doing this, saying, right, life happens, stuff happens to us, and it's not what happens to us, it's what we do with what happens to us and how we move on from it and overcome whatever it is we've needed to overcome. So this week what we're talking about is really how to restart your life after divorce, because that was certainly my story, and I know that that's your story. So while we're going to talk about several topics, that's really the overarching theme of this week's show. So our intention statement for this week, if you're writing it down, you want to anchor it, and remember, we post the wallpaper every single week, so you can use that as your reminder to affirm it all week long, is I have today to let go of the past and restart my life.
Oh, I like that.
I have today to let go of my past and restart my life.
I really, really like that.
Yeah. We'll download the wallpaper and use it.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Yeah. So what I want to do before we get into your stories, I want to tell the audience a little bit about Sandi, because she's so amazing and so fun, and you're just going to love her story. So Sandi Masori developed her book expertise organically by first writing her own book to promote the business she had at the time. The book led her to make over 100 TV appearances, including the Today Show, got her booked on stages as a speaker, and ultimately brought in better clients who were excited to spend more money to work with a celebrity author. So cool. Once Sandi wrote her first book, other experts started asking her to help them with their stories as well. What began as a side gig quickly grew into a full-time business, and to date, Sandi has helped over 150 authors self-publish their business authority or legacy books. She is passionate about helping people achieve their publishing dreams. She grew up in San Diego, which is where we are right now, which I love. And after traveling around the world making balloons, which I can't wait to talk about, she returned to San Diego, where she now lives with her 2 children. When Sandi is not writing books or coaching others to write or publish their books, she produces the Shape Up Sandi Show, and until recently ran Balloon Utopia, which we're going to be talking about. And she is also coaches and mentors, marketing consultants, and small business owners. Since the fall of 2013, Sandi has been invited to appear on numerous local and national and international TV shows, including The Today Show and Hallmark's Home and Family Show. The media dubbed her America's Top Balloon Expert. I love that title. Oh my gosh, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So all right. So I read a little bit about you. Tell us the story.
Yeah, so I know that it seems really strange to chase something, get to the top of the mountain, basically get everything that you wanted, and then be like, yeah, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much exactly what happened. And the catalyst for that change was my divorce.
Okay.
So basically, in a nutshell, my ex and I used to work together. Mm-hmm. And so, when he left, on every job there was ghosts, and I found that my passion was really diminishing for it, and luckily, thank God, I was good enough that, even when I thought, oh, I'm phoning it in, my clients were happy. I was still doing a good job for them, but I knew that I was capable of more.
Yes.
And at the same time, I was really lucky that I had that side business with the publishing. And I just found that I was getting more excited about doing category research, or, even the most, like proofreading, like the most basic things.
So you really like digging into that stuff and learning something new.
Exactly. And I was just finding that was getting me more excited than, a $15,000 balloon job.
Yes.
And so that's when it really became apparent to me that it was time to fully make a change.
Yes.
I know it's really strange because when I tell people how far I went with the balloons, and the things that I was doing, and really everything was working. I mean, I literally walked away from a 6-figure business, which, is kind of crazy in itself.
Yeah.
But.
Well, okay. So the point there is, it doesn't matter how successful your business is, how much money you're making.
Yeah.
If you are not feeling fulfilled, it's time to make a change.
Right.
It's time to move on. I had a 32-year career in advertising and TV sales, and I was with Disney, ABC for the last 20.
Wow.
Amazing. Everyone's like, oh, and of course it was an amazing career, but the same thing, it wasn't fueling my passion anymore. It wasn't fulfilling to me anymore. And I was making multiple 6 figures too. Same thing. So, and my divorce was the catalyst to my change too.
Right.
So yeah, we have a lot in common.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think you definitely have to be happy. You have to be excited to wake up. You have to be excited about what you're doing. And money's not always enough. I mean, even though I have a kid now in college, goodness knows I need the money.
Right.
But it's not enough if you're not just excited to wake up and do your thing.
Yeah, that's what I say. If you're not jumping out of your bed every day about the day in front of you, you are missing your life.
Right.
You are truly missing your life.
And I know sometimes, you have your ups and downs, right? And sometimes it's just a slump, and sometimes you really have to look at it and say, okay, maybe it's not time for, maybe it's time to do something new. Maybe it's time to change directions here.
Yes.
So actually, I'm kind of starting on something else now. It's not so completely different because, you already mentioned the show that I've been producing. But my original thing way back when I was a kid, I wanted to be a TV personality.
Okay.
And, I didn't think that I could. I didn't believe in myself, a million different things. Mm-hmm. And now I'm 47. I earned every stripe, so I don't mind claiming it.
Yes, 47 years young.
Woohoo! That's right. And I'm looking at it going, gosh, 50 is coming very soon. Where do I want to be then?
Yes.
And I realized that I really wanted to revisit this dream of being on camera, exactly like what you're doing. You know, being a host, being the personality, not only a guest. And so I reached out to one of the local producers here and contacted her, and I said, hey, would you be willing to give me some private coaching?
Yes.
And she agreed to. So I'm really excited that now I'm starting to learn, we're starting with the basics, writing for broadcasting.
Yes.
So that's where I'm at right now, is learning, the very basics of, putting your subject's title before their name.
Right.
So,
yes.
I know all this is old hat to you, but to me it was really a revelation.
Listen, this is so interesting because we've done, I want to say we're over 100 shows now. It's well over 100 shows.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you. And it's been, I started out doing, webinars by myself in my office to crickets. And flub my way through it and just, you learn. But good for you. Very smart. Get a coach.
Yes.
Get coaches. Hire coaches. I say that all the time.
And I
figure it out.
And I think that is probably, I know we don't need the takeaway yet, but that's probably the biggest piece of advice that I have, is if there's something that you want to do, don't just sit in, I can't. Figure out who's doing it.
Right.
And who can you ask to help you? Who can you learn from? Who can mentor you?
Yes.
And yes, get a coach, because especially as an entrepreneur, especially, as as a driven woman, so often we are alone.
Yes.
We are in our own head. We are in our own space. We don't have, you try to talk to your family about it, and of course they're just going to tell you, oh, you can't do that.
Right,
don't be ridiculous. Take the sure thing.
You're the weird one.
That's
in the
right.
family.
That's right. You're the weird one. So you really need somebody who gets you, or who gets where you're trying to go, and who's going to be able to tell you, yeah, you can do it. Start over here.
It's so true. It's so true. All right. I want to talk about your book here.
Okay.
Her book is called Book It, and how to write and publish your business authority book without going crazy so that you can get more speaking gigs, get media attention, and attract better clients and make more money.
That's right. Because that's what it all comes down to, right?
It does come down to it. Right. So what made you start this?
So basically, we've kind of talked about me being a balloon artist. It all started there. So when I would tell people that I was a balloon artist, instantly people would go, oh, so you do birthday parties.
Yes.
Right? I mean, you could just see it on their face like, oh, that's so cute.
Yes.
And I mean, that was great, but I was doing huge corporate events, you know? So I mean, yes, I was doing birthday parties too, because you do balloons. It's always the first place that people's mind goes. But I had a problem in that when I told people what I did, they would instantly almost minimize me.
Yes.
Right? I mean, you don't think
well
of,
said.
Yeah, right? I mean, you don't think of balloons as a business or as an industry. So even though I was running a 6-figure business, it was like, oh, you're a little clown. How cute. Yeah. So I wrote my first book basically to get past that. So my first book was about trade shows.
Okay.
And it was written to trade show organizers and producers and exhibitors, telling them how they could use balloons to increase their bottom line, right? A lot of different ways that you can use balloons in a trade show. If you want to know, go get the book. It's on Amazon. But basically, that was it. So what happened was, when I met somebody and I told them what I did, and of course they would do that, oh, you do balloons? Oh, so you do birthdays? Well, I'd pull out my book and I go, well, actually, what I do is big corporate events. I specialize in trade shows and stages. I would give them a copy of my book. Literally, the way they looked at me instantly changed.
Right.
I mean, completely changed from, oh my gosh, you're so cute, to, wow, you're an author.
Expert and an authority in this.
Exactly.
You're kind of a big deal.
Exactly. You're right. I mean, no question if I'm an expert or not.
Everything.
I literally wrote the book.
Yeah.
So, right? I mean,
yeah.
And it completely changed everything. It changed the way people looked at me. It changed the types of clients that were coming into me, right? Got me onto television sets, where they furthered that you are the expert status. And so what happened was, it no longer became like, okay, well, why should I hire you over the guy down the street?
Right.
Instead, it became, I want you, you're the expert, you know exactly what I need, now can we work with my budget? So a totally different conversation. And then I found that after I wrote my first book, well, I had to write another one and another one and another one. So this book here is actually my 7th.
Wow.
But what happened was that I was going to a lot of marketing conferences and a lot of, learning how to promote my business. And so people in my marketing circles found out about my book, and they wanted to write a book. So they started tapping me for help. And so that's how my now full-time gig, then side hobby, became a thing. And so once I decided that it was time for me to, take off the balloon hat and put on the book hat, if you will. I didn't bring my hat today, but then I realized, okay, it's time for me to write the book about books.
Yes.
Because
such a great book.
And it was kind of a big challenge in terms of just my identity when I made the transition from the balloon lady to the book lady, right? Because I was if you Google me, you're going to find so much about balloons, because I did such a great job branding myself with it, that it was all of a sudden like, oh my God, if I'm not the balloon lady, who am I? Right. And how do I reestablish in this new direction with the same kind of expertise, even though I've already published 100 and something books, Yes. And this is
what you're speaking about is God, we have so much symmetry, and this is what I work with my clients privately and on the show and the podcast and everything I do. You're not limited by one thing. You are multi-talented, and you are a multifaceted diamond, and you're supposed to illuminate that in all you do.
I love
and
that.
your your experience in building that business, this is what I tell women all the time. Like, you have no idea how many assets you have, how many skills you have. Even if you were a stay-at-home mom,
Yes.
you were a project manager. You know,
Absolutely.
you were
Yes.
organized. Like, you ran things. If you were part of the PTA, just because maybe you didn't get paid for something, your talent, the list of talents and skills and assets you had is like astronomical.
Absolutely.
So
Even
you took
as a
all
stay-at-home mom, you're a CEO, you're a COO, you're a
Yes.
CFO. I mean,
Yes.
you're really occupying every position on the board.
You are. So I love this, and you were so good at that. So you took all the skills of that and blended that into the book publishing business, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So fun.
And I learned you're never completely done reinventing, right?
Never.
There's always something else that, I really want to look into this now. I want to explore that. And I think that once you allow yourself the freedom to do it,
Yes.
which is what I love about, the whole I have today
Yes.
philosophy, right? Once you say, you know what, I have today, what am I going to make of it?
Yeah.
Yes, I can explore this thing. No, I'm not going to stay locked in this, the balloon girl was my identity and that's all I can ever be. There's so much more to me.
Right. I love it. Well, what was the biggest challenge for you?
So
let's talk about the real,
yeah,
the real stuff.
I
too.
mean, the biggest challenge was I want to be careful how much I share. I don't mind being vulnerable, but it is my children's father, so I don't want to
Yes.
throw him
Yeah.
under the bus too much.
Of course.
But he left the country. He went through his own little crisis or whatever.
Yes.
And so he left the country for 4 years, and I lost my partner, I lost, my husband, I lost my children's father, my support system, all at the same time. And
Wow.
so, I had to figure out how to be a full-time single mom and run a business and, basically do everything. I mean, thank God, my parents are close by, and I could not have gotten through the last 4 years without them.
Right.
But, there's so much going on, not just in what you have to do every day, right? I mean, there were days that I don't even remember the day.
Right.
I think I zipped my pants.
Yeah,
I probably, thank God for Crocs. I slogged through it. Yes, I did become that mom that dropped her kids off in pajamas with a hoodie so that you couldn't tell I wasn't wearing a bra.
Yeah.
And
You had to cope.
and I wasn't thriving during that time, but I was surviving. And
Yeah.
I stopped doing media tours. I stopped going to conferences. I stopped doing anything that would take me away from the kids so that I could rebuild their foundation. And I'm so glad that I did. I mean, my older son now is a freshman at Berkeley. If I
Wonderful.
can brag for a minute, getting straight A's, knock on
can.
wood.
Of course you can. Knock on that wood.
So I think that I did the right thing because it could have gone so differently. I know so many people who went through difficult divorces whose kids did not come out, I don't want to say as unscathed as mine because, of course,
Right.
we'll see down the line what
Who had other
right,
deeper
there's always
challenges.
damage,
Yes.
but thank God my kids didn't turn to more extreme measures to cope, and
Yes.
and so I know I did the right thing, even though at the time for me it was devastating to stop doing media. I loved that. And then also, there were so many days that I just felt like I was screaming alone inside my head and there was nobody to talk to. And, so many days that I lost my temper on my kids. I was not as patient as I would have liked. And, all I can say is you go to bed going, okay, God, help me do better tomorrow.
Right.
Yes. Today was a bust, but
Yeah.
help me do better tomorrow. And piece by piece, things start putting themselves together again.
You start healing yourself.
You start healing and you find these new directions, like I said, with the books, it was an opportunity that I kind of had it on the sidelines, but thank God at the same time that there were people who were reaching out to me. And here's the thing, I was pretty open on Facebook about what was happening to me. I tried to be very careful. My kids are my Facebook friends.
Right.
We have, my ex and I have a lot of friends in common, so I tried to be careful about sharing my emotional journey without going too much into the weeds.
Right.
The details don't matter,
They
really.
don't. Yeah.
And so many people reached back out to me because they saw themselves in my story, because they were going through it too. And it actually brought me a lot of clients.
Yes.
On the book side, I had other people, colleagues who are in the same industry telling me like, oh, aren't you worried you're going to alienate people?
Right.
You're putting too much out there. And I just said, I don't know how else to be.
You have to be authentic. You have to be you.
Yeah.
And like I said, we all go through, trying times. It's not all sunshine and roses. It's
Right.
definitely not. So you got to be authentic to you, and look what it did for you.
Yeah.
How people were just so drawn to you. So
It really,
yeah.
things really worked out better than I could have imagined.
Of course. Well, I say, you do not know how high you can rise until you see how low you can fall. Like truly, the other end of that spectrum is so much great. Like if you're suffering over here in this pain and it's excruciating, and hey, I attempted suicide. It doesn't get much lower than that.
Yeah.
The other side of that is as extraordinary, if not even more. You just have to have the faith and the trust in it, and do whatever you need to do in that moment to understand that, like, this is gonna get better.
Right.
It's gonna get better. So
Yeah, I'm Jewish, as we always say, this too shall pass, right?
Yes, it's
And
true.
it's really, and it doesn't feel like it. I mean, if anybody out there is going through a difficult time right now, I know that it can feel that you're absolutely drowning in it.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, even looking at my own name, was painful. I felt like literally my heart was ripping in half when I just looked at my own name. Mm-hmm. And the only reason I didn't change it was A, I couldn't come up with something better, right. and B, again, my kids.
Right.
I didn't want, confusion at the schools.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you would have told me then, oh, you're going to laugh about it in a few years, as people actually did tell me, and I was like, I don't see it.
Yeah.
But it really is true. Time really
did heal.
Time does its thing, and all you can do is just, sometimes the best you can do is just put one foot in front of the other, and just what has to get done today, and maybe that's all that's going to get done that day.
Right.
And that's okay. Be okay.
Totally. I could not agree more. So wherever you are on your journey, as you're listening to this, like if you have days where you just don't have the energy and don't feel like doing anything, roll with it, go with it.
Yeah.
So, all right. So how do you now, and what I love is the way it's sort of, you sort of kind of stumbled into it.
Yeah.
And then grew that passion for it, which, because you love doing it for yourself and saw what happened, and you're obviously really good at it. How do you live the I Have Today way now?
So I think I try to say yes to every opportunity that I can.
Okay.
And now that my ex is back in town, I have backup so I can start traveling again. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is when an opportunity crosses my path, like when I got invited to be on your show.
Yes.
I try to say yes and then figure out how to make it happen.
Yes.
And
beautiful way to live.
Yeah, because you just don't know when you sit in fear, and nothing is going to happen if I just stay in my house.
Right.
Right. I mean, whether I'm single, now I'm trying to get out there and start dating again, trying to go out to places where I can meet people.
Yes.
And I find that the days that I most don't want to, that I'm most like, oh, I just want to stay in bed, and I force myself to put on a little makeup and maybe curl my hair a little bit, like something magical happens, and you never know what it's going to be.
I know, it totally
Yeah.
happens. It's so true. Those moments are always the best time.
Right, and you just don't know. You might meet somebody that's going to become, a great friend. You might meet somebody that's going to become a professional contact. You might do nothing but go grocery shopping.
Yeah.
It might be that nothing else happens, but you feel a little bit better.
I was going to say, no matter what, you feel better getting out and moving.
Yeah. That you
that's
changed your
true.
state a little bit.
Yeah.
So I try to do that, and now I'm going to go on another media tour coming soon. I'm just trying to coordinate it with, all the parties involved.
Great.
And like I told you about starting this new learning.
Yes.
New
venture of
this
yours.
new venture, and really learning about production, and from all aspects of it is just really exciting. So.
That's great. Well, you're going to be phenomenal at it.
Thank you.
You've got it. You've got the it factor. Okay, is there one final piece of advice you'd like to share?
Really just what I've already said. Two things. One, if I can, about books.
Yes.
If you're sitting on a book and you've been thinking about it, stop thinking about it and jump onto it.
Yes.
Start doing it, because in fact, even this morning I spoke to somebody who I've been talking to over 3 years, who's been planning to do her book. And, today she called me, okay, I'm finally ready.
Good.
So, which is really exciting, and I'm really happy for her. But for you guys, if writing a book is something that you've always wanted to do, you know what? If the blank page is overwhelming, then take out your phone and just dictate some ideas.
Yes.
Make some small movement towards it. Or, if that's not what you want to do, like I said, just try to take small steps to get out of your comfort zone, or to accept an opportunity that's coming into your path.
Yes.
Just say yes.
Say yes.
And then figure out how.
Yeah. I love that. God, I said yes so many times. Yeah. During my reinvention, when I first moved here, I spent that first year 33 weekends in a year.
Wow.
At events, conferences, workshops,
Wow.
Seminars.
And that takes a huge energy.
So much energy. It was I just kept saying yes, 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 yes. And talk about the amount of information and insight I got in that. I don't recommend doing that. That's crazy. But just learning to say yes opened so many doors.
Yeah.
So good. That's great. That's great. All right. So how can people find out about you and your book?
Okay. So my website is expertbook4u, the number 4, the letter u.com. And you can actually download a copy of my book right from my website for free.
I love that. I love that. That's great. Wonderful.
Expertbook for you. Yeah, 4 and then u.com.
For you. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, it was so great having you on the show.
Thank you. This has been so much
pleasure.
fun.
So
And
much fun.
I can't wait to learn more about everything that you've been through. I'm going to go back through all the past episodes and catch up.
Yeah, and we'll talk after the show too. We'll do a little after the episode.
That's right,
private thing. That's wonderful. All right, so remember, you guys, the intention statement this week is I have today to let go of the past and restart my life. You only have today. Today is all you are guaranteed. The past is behind you. Don't live there. Get over it the best way you can and live intentionally in this moment right now so that you can create your future. That's what it's all about. And for us here at I Have Today, what we want to do is we want to offer you a free gift as well. And that is a chapter in my book.
Ooh.
May as well stay in alignment,
Yeah.
right? And you can read all about my story and what happened to me and brought me to that breaking moment and how I was able to, reinvent my life and take that darkest moment to catapult it into what it is today. All right, don't forget to, if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel, hit the bell so that you can get alerted of new episodes. That would mean the world to me. We'll have information about Sandi and the freebies in the description area. And if you found us on the podcast, wherever that is, thank you for listening, and please subscribe there as well and rate and review. It would mean the world to me there as well. All right, that's it for this week's episode of I Have Today. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Guys.
Bye-bye.